So, first of all, I'd like to say, Frank, welcome to Bournemouth University.
Thank you very much, and welcome to everybody, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank
And the mayor. Thank you.
I'll start with probably an obvious question from all of us, which is, how are you at the moment and how are you feeling?
Very, very well. I feel very, very fine. Feel very fit, very positive and relaxed and chilled.
Fantastic, okay. Can you tell me what sort of child you were? What did you get up to?
I was the youngest of 6. I was a very adventurous child. I didn't realise I was dyslexic till I went to my Borstal. But I was very, very spoilt, very looked after by my sister's friends. They thought I was very, very cute and they used to experiment on me. My brother, who died unfortunately, God rest his soul, he was sort of like my dad, because my dad died when I was 14, but he looked after me and covered my back. And I was spoilt in a lot of ways, but I was a naughty boy. In a way, not robbed nobody, didn't do nothing dodgy, but I was always, 1 minute I was here and then next minute I'd be in Southampton, or next minute I'd be in London. I was very adventurous and getting myself into trouble and hanging around with the wrong sort of like crowd. I didn't have the guts to do anything that the crowd was doing, but I wanted the excitement of being there.
Okay.
But I was brought up by good parents.
So you were at Swaffield Primary originally?
Yeah.
And then you actually had to move to Borstal, wasn't it?
I got expelled from Swaffield. I was asked to leave by the teacher.
Right.
And I went to Sussex. I was brought up in London. And I got deported to Sussex for about 5 years.
And that's Oak Hall Reform, wasn't it?
Yeah, reform, whatever you want to call it. I say boarding school because it sounds posher, but it was a boarding school.
And so, how did you find things when you were there? How did you settle in?
It was a nightmare, to be quite honest, because I thought I was tough. I thought I was widely and clever. But when I went there, it was a year of bullying and some kids with some attitudes, and they had life problems, and I think some of them had a lot of mental, not disorders, but they had a lot of issues going on. So it was
a lot of aggression.
Yeah, a lot of aggression, and you had to be on your toes. But it was a good school, as regards the teachers were good. They didn't take no nonsense, and they schooled you right, and manners, and we had to do a lot of sports. So at the end, I think it was the best thing that could have happened to me, and I was glad I went there because I came out more positively, more confident, and I knew what I wanted to do.
Okay. I was very lucky that your agent kindly sent me a copy of your book that I read before this. Right. And one of the things mentioned in your book was you were a handful as a child, it said, and as a teenager. Do you think this is something that could have contributed to mental health issues with you?
I don't know if I was a handful. My mum was very, very serious with me. My dad was very, very serious. He didn't take no nonsense. My dad was very proud that I was the only boy, because I had half brothers, and he spoilt me more than my sister, but he dropped some manners on me, and he taught me some life skills, how to survive, and he wouldn't be there most of my life, so he wanted me to have manners, dress well, and conduct myself in the right sort of like way. But I had good parents, so I had good stock, but I was just adventurous. I was just hanging around with the wrong people, and they was advanced more than me, but luckily my brother came in and took over and warned people not to educate me too far, but some of my sister's friends, they were educating me a little bit too much when I was young. But there's kids here, so I don't want to go that far.
Okay. You were seen as a gentle giant.
Yeah.
You said there and everything on it. But do you think when you talk about the sort of the aggression and the strength needed for boxing, did you have that very early on? Because you started boxing quite early.
Yeah, I started boxing when I was about 8 to 10. And when I was 12, unfortunately, I got sent to the Borstal. Yeah. I'd done a lot of training in the Borstal, done a little bit of sparring here and there with the gloves. When I left school, I didn't have no qualifications at all. Tried a little bit of metal polishing, tried to work on the building site, and tried to do a little bit of ducking and diving. It didn't work, so I just went straight full into boxing. Got to 18, had 21 fights, and I won the ABA championship at 18. And as the youngest one still stands today. So I had a lot of determination and focus on what I wanted to do, because I didn't have the brains to go to university, college or whatever. I found it very, when you're a little bit dyslexic, you get tight and you know what I mean, you get very agitated, but it's no excuse. I had the opportunity of learning, but I was sulking and being the hump, and I just refused to learn anything. But I learned about, I'm a good listener and I watch and get good ideas, you know.
Did you know from your amateur fights that you wanted to turn professional? Because you were the youngest champion, as you said.
Yeah, I wanted to do something like that, but I was too clumsy to play football. I didn't have the guts to get involved with rugby because I thought that was too tough. I didn't want to be a getaway driver for a bank robber or anything like that. So the only thing I could do, I was doing karate, so I just wanted to do boxing. If I'd done boxing, at least the wages went to me rather than in the football pitch, 12 men, in the rugby pitch, 13 or whatever men. You got to cut the cake up 13 different ways. But in the boxing, you just get...
Better for you.
Yeah. But it's a gamble, but sometimes in life you gamble and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But I was very, very determined and knew what I wanted to do.
Good. So you turned professional. If you look at your statistics, 40 wins, 38 then by KO, only 5 losses.
Yeah.
So it's brilliant statistic. We were talking earlier just about the era as well.
Yeah.
Some really tough fighters. You previously have quoted on saying that the Cummings fight was important to you.
It was important to me because sometimes in life you can knock people out very, very quick. But it's when someone hits you back, that's when you got to test what sort of like character. And then I got hit in the first round. Thank God for me, it was at the end of the first round, but I was flying Concorde EasyJet. I didn't know where I was, you know. And I got back to the corner, I came out, and I didn't know how I got through to the 7th round to knock him out, but he was hitting me all over the place. I was seeing stars and, you know, Rocky.
And it was the first time, really, wasn't it?
It was
somebody
very
really
first
hit you
time, but sometimes it tested the character what I was, because sometimes in life you can't always go around winning. You got to see if someone pushes you and hits you back, and that taught me. I grit my teeth, and I really, really wanted it, because it was in front of a lot of people at the Royal Albert Hall, in front of millions watching on television. So everything was at stake. And I beat him and knocked him out in the 7th round, but I didn't still know where I was after the fight. And every time I think about the fight now, I think I might need some counselling, because you know what I mean. It brings back memories, To
look at it. Okay, so for the non-boxing fans here, I think the first real association with you they might have had was the first Mike Tyson fight, because it was just so big.
Right.
So it's 1989. Could you talk us through how you prepared for that?
I prepared for that. My first loss in the boxing room was a guy called Bone Crusher Smith. But most of the kids here and the people there weren't even born when that was happening, you know what I mean? But the Mike Tyson fight, how I prepared for that, I went to training camp for about 2 months, 3 months, borderline, for that. And we had about 5 different sparring partners, but the fight was postponed about 5 times, because he had a wife at the time, and she was giving him grief. So he was crashing his car into trees. He busted
hanging
his
from
hand.
balconies. He was doing everything, wasn't he? Hanging from balconies. He was doing.
Allegedly, he was doing all sorts of like crazy things. So the fight was supposed to be at Wembley. Then Don King gave Mickey Duff a brown envelope, suitcase full of money, and the fight got put to Las Vegas. But I trained very, very hard for the fight. Went in there, tried my best, but my best weren't good enough
for it. Okay. Arguably, that's the fight that projected you into sort of high celebrity stakes, crossing over, if you like, from a sort of, what I'll say, normal celebrity to just stellar on it.
Yeah.
Did you see a difference after that fight with fame and everything else?
My manager, I had a good manager, what got me into golf, tap dancing, show business, and he wanted me to do pantomime and go on TV with different sketches and whatever. I've done so much different things through my life, I forgot. But the first sort of like fight, he wanted to promote me to get not only be a boxer, but be a celebrity. And Henry Cooper used to play golf and used to get invited to the Royal Variety, all different things he used to do. So I had a good manager, a good teacher. So in the early days, I got set. I had to do this. I had to go on this TV show. I was promoted in a different way, and I listened to him because he came to my mum's house. He told my mum that if I conduct myself in the right sort of like way, dress right, talk properly, not like the street slang or whatever it was at the time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I could go far. I had this sort of like character. I listened to him and knuckled down and trained very, very hard. It was a rocky road, but I mustn't really grumble one little bit.
No. So the other chances you had, it led to the Oliver McCall fight, obviously.
Yeah.
Which is when you became finally WBC World Champion.
Yeah, I lost to Bone Crusher Smith. I lost to Mike Tyson
I'm
twice.
trying to skip over your losses. I'm being nice.
Tim Witherspoon, you can skip over your losses, but sometimes in life you got to lose before you win, and that was my educational experience by losing. But I have no shame in losing because everybody in life, you can't win all the time. You got to know what it's like to go through thunder, lightning, and snow and rain before you can see the sunshine.
Everything. What do you remember about Oliver McCall on that night?
I remember quite a lot. I went to training camp about 6 months before. I remember a lot that night because it was the last chuck at the dice. I was about 35 borderline and I didn't have nowhere to go, so I was very, very desperate, hungry to fulfill my dream of winning the heavyweight champion of the world. It's only for 5 minutes, but you know what I mean? Some people have dreams when you're young, and sometimes dreams can come true. Yep. You know what I mean? And I'm a dreamer, but I'm a hard worker as well, and I focus and I'm very, very hungry.
So you're world champion.
Yeah.
And you have one final fight.
Yeah.
Now, what I found interesting, I was watching back some of the documentaries on it.
Yeah.
And different people were talking about the walk to the ring part.
Yeah.
That they said you were different when you were in a changing room to when you walked to the ring.
Yeah. What
happened there? What was the change, do you think, looking back?
The Oliver McCall fight, the first round, he detached my retina, so I was half blind. I couldn't. If you ever detach retina, it's like a disco light flickered in your eye, and I was very, very crazy in trying to fool the doctors. I passed the doctors, but I was sparring with one eye. If I got punched in my eye, I could have gone blind, and I was very, very worried, and not bottled it or nothing like that, but I wanted to go in there. I had a family, I had to put food on the table, and I didn't know whether I was going to come out okay, because going with two eyes is enough with Mike Tyson, but going there with one eye, this guy is a bit very, very dangerous. So yeah, I was very, very worried.
Did you feel the pressure to defend your title?
I didn't have no really choice because I won the title, and at that time I wanted to seal my family's security, my security for the rest of my life, because I knew after the fight I couldn't really trick nobody else, because you could look at me and see that my eyes weren't right. So how I got through, God only knows.
So you have your final fight on there. Yeah. We knew about the eye bit.
Right.
You've retired.
Yeah.
And you have to announce that.
Yeah.
What's your next thought? What are you next trying to do?
It's very, very difficult for a man of 36, 35 to say you retire. It's very, very powerful and very, very hurtful. My trainer once said to me, when you retire, the biggest fight of your life is going to be when you retire. And when I retired, that's when all, you know what I mean, the problems, stress, divorce, not talking to the kids, not seeing the kids, being left in the house of 75 acres, having cars, this, that, the devil knows not, all different problems, you know what I mean? All different hangers on and people, what you thought was your friends, what weren't your friends, and I just couldn't handle it, you know?
You mentioned in your book when George Francis passed away, that was quite a tipping point for you in one way.
I couldn't make that as an excuse. I'm not here to make no excuse or to feel sorry for myself. It's just life. You know what I mean? My gran died too, my grands died, my brother died, my mum died, and all different things was going on in your life, but you can't, unfortunately, we all have to die one day, so you can't rely on them certain different things. But when you've got 3 kids and you've got a wife and they move out of your life, you know what I mean? It's a very, very sad time, but no complaints at all. We do go for sad and happy times.
So leading up to the events in 2003 and what happened,
Yeah.
just before that, there was some strange times for you, wasn't there, in your house and how things were going for you?
Yeah.
The idea that wasn't there you had a boxing ring out the back?
Yeah, I had the boxing ring that I won the world title in at the back, and I was going to get into training people. I was doing DJing. I was up and down, just trying to make the money back up, and I just, all confusing rather than patient. I didn't have no one that I could trust.
There was people in your house.
People in my house. It was a mad, crazy time.
And you found that bit up in you. And then could you just talk to us about September 2003 and that eventful day? I mean, there's been lots in the press. There was lots of documentaries on it. What do you remember? And can you explain to anybody who's not sure what happened that day?
Yeah, I mean, when the police knocked on the door and the doctors came and they said that we're going to section you, I wondered what they were talking about. But everything was leading up to whatever. I was making some funny phone calls. I was working too late. I was burning myself out and just very, very confused, very, very upset. And they said I had to be sectioned. And when I went, I refused for about 5 different hours. I was giving them a stress here and there. Eventually I got in the ambulance, went down to the unit, they injected me in my backside, and I was away with the fairies.
You did it from that part.
Yeah.
Did you struggle at the time when you talked about your family had almost your family had spoken about your welfare? They had actually asked for police to be there. They were the ones that actually called for this thing to happen.
Yeah, they called for it, but at the time, when someone's going for a breakdown, you're not knowing that you're going for a breakdown. I was under stress, and it's one of them things that happened, and I need to be sectioned.
Without jumping too far ahead, the media were pretty unkind at the start of that, weren't they?
At the end of the day, that's what the media are there. Some days they're there to build you up, and some times they're there to knock you down. But it comes with the territory. If you want to be famous, you can't be famous when it suits you. And then when you're going through bad times, that is depressing in bonkers, Bruno, all different things they're coming out with. But it's only toilet paper the next day or fish and chip paper.
Yeah, you leave it. Yeah. So you've gone from world champion, all this has happened. You're suddenly with a psychiatrist and they're talking to you.
Right.
What sort of things are they trying to tell you? What are they trying to do? Because in your book, it's actually quite horrific to start with.
Yeah.
And they talk about what they're doing with you and the drugs and what they're trying to make you do.
I think the medication, what they give me was a very, very strange thing, because they gave me the depot. I don't know if anybody understands the depot. They gave me lithium. They gave me all sorts of different things to experiment on me, but it didn't really work for me. After I was in the place for about a couple of days, I thought as right as ninepence. I got myself together, got my thoughts, I settled down, and I was aware of what was happening. But when you be sectioned, you've got to be sectioned for 28 days, and the medication what I was on just made me worse. I couldn't sleep, had nightmares, and couldn't talk properly, and just monged you out. You know what I mean? It was a very, very bad time.
Yeah, I left you with that. So you came out of hospital. They put you on a strong dose of tablets, and so you're out of hospital now.
No, I was getting the injections in me, a strong dose of tablets as well as the injections.
And how did you start to cope then with your life?
I couldn't cope. I just sat on. They came, I think, every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and I was in the same position when they come for about 2 months. I couldn't left by myself, trying to feed myself. I couldn't wash myself barely, make myself a meal, make myself a cup of coffee, and it was very, very degrading, very, very humiliating, and I couldn't get myself together. I couldn't train, couldn't get no motivation, very lethargic. It was very, very horrible. It was me who had to come off it. They came knocking at the gates and I wouldn't answer the door.
No.
So
you hid away.
Yeah, I hid away and got myself together, built myself up, stopped taking the injections, and got my life back together. And I moved from the house I was, run like Forrest Gump, and I went about an hour and a bit away to a health farm in Champneys in Tring. Stayed there for about 8 years, got myself together, mind together, positive, trained and whatever. And I moved down to Leighton Buzzards.
Also, so one of the problems I think that you came across was whilst you were actually away in the hospital, suddenly you came out and your accountants are calling you.
Yeah.
And your accountants are giving you news.
Yeah, they give me news that someone what was close to me and supposed to be looking after me nicked about £350,000 out of my account. But it's life, you know. I was putting my faith into people. I thought I could trust, but sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. You know what I mean? I've got no one to blame but myself.
So you're almost you're going through a routine here where people are coming to see you, but you're not quite dealing with what's going on. You're starting to change things, and then come to 2012, you were actually sectioned twice during that year.
Yeah, right.
And one of the things from the new book I've got here, is on the 6th of May 2012. I spent 5 weeks banged up in St Andrew's Hospital in Northampton. I say banged up because it was like being in prison. Can you just explain that, what it was?
Being in prison. Sometimes if you get banged up, I've seen a lot of people today upstairs and they seem like they're caring and looking after the community or whatever. But I don't know if you can go into St Andrews and you're going to the toilet and they're looking over and checking on you, trying to provoke you, and the social workers shouting at you and trying to wind you up and give you tablets and take the tablets, and then you drop down on the floor and you crap your ribs with the power of the medication I was taking. And I don't think they were really helpful in the way every time trying to niggle someone and wind them up to get them into a more powerful ward to be, you know what I mean, keeping you there more than, you know what I mean, the time you're supposed to be there. So I won the case of getting out and, you know what I mean, getting looked after at home, but it was the worst place. It was like a concentration camp, St Andrews. They're not nice people, you know. Right. I see them, I thought it looked like to me beating up, restraining people, calling security guards and all different things. A lot of, I think, corruption going on there.
It was interesting that one of the things you focused on as well was you struggled because you weren't allowed to train. You weren't allowed to do the fitness bit. Do you remember?
I weren't allowed to do anything in there, you know what I mean? They were very, not, I thought, you know what I mean, the nurses and the people around are supposed to care for you or whatever, but they're just constantly pushing, winding you up, saying all different things, and the more you ask for this so weird, but they were trying to break me, but I ended up doing press-ups and keeping my mind occupied until I got my hearing with the solicitors and they got me out of there.
The press-up bit is the bit that I thought was a typo because you were doing about 4,000 press-ups a day sometimes.
Yeah, it ended up about 4,000 press-ups because the frustration, the medication what they were giving me was making me numb, making me very, very drowsy, and they were trying to drag me down to let me be like a cabbage. But the more they were doing that, the more determined I tried to motivate myself and fight against what they was trying to do to me.
Do you think one of the sort of symptoms given off of being bipolar sometimes is the focusing on the fitness that you did at times?
It's a very, very strange thing, bipolar, you know what I mean? Because I've got my life together. I've got a good PA in Carmen. Dave the agent's got my life structured. So I'm very, very calm. I'm on the level. I'm not highly strung because of the medication I was taking. 1 minute I was break dancing and I couldn't move. I was on the chair. Next minute I was like tongue hanging out. So I've got given a lot of medication what I was used as a guinea pig. That's why I'm not for medication, but some people may have to take or need medication. So anything I'm talking about, I'm only talking about my experience. Yeah. Everybody, and you've got to tailor make it to everybody's situation. So I'm only talking about my experience, but my experience was very, very horrible, very, very nasty. And I don't know how they can give you so many tablets to fight the side and other tablets to the side effects, what they give you. And you can't focus and get yourself together. It's very, very horrible and nasty.
Many times your medication was up and down, wasn't it?
It was very up and down, you know what I mean?
Almost trying to find a way of finding the best for you.
They were trying to find an experiment on me. When I told them it weren't doing me no good, and then they gave me something that, as I said, you know, 1 minute I'm down, I couldn't hardly go to the toilet. Next thing, I couldn't even sit down at the stretch and just moving all the time, you know what I mean? So I don't agree with it at all, but that's only me.
If you look back and you were saying some people here now, what would you say about how you identify the early signs of bipolar and mental health?
Stress is a very, very big amount of stress, problems, you know what I mean, a relation breakup, buying a house, buying a property, going to work and not ends meet. Stress is a very, very big part of and how you handle it. You know what I mean? At the time when I was going through anything, if you told someone that you're going through a mental breakdown or you're feeling lethargic, you're not feeling too well, people say he's nutty, he's mad, and cross the road. When I was first sectioned, when I come out, people, it's like breakdancing. I look at them, they look down. When I looked at them, they will turn and across the street and looked at me very, very crazy. They would talk about me. All the neighbours were outside looking at, okay, here comes a nutter and things like that. You go in the shop and people would break, you know what I mean? You look at them and they just look away, but times are a bit more different because people are very, very sympathetic. It could be your daughter, it could be your sister, it could be your mum, it could be your dad, it could be your aunt, anybody going through some form of mental health. But there's a lot of people going through it, and sometimes my mum was a district nurse and she said we're all mad at times in our life. We're crazy. Sometimes what we got to go through, and it's how you handle it, you know.
What you do. You talked, you have talked before of your admiration of MP Norman Lamb. And you've met him several times?
Yeah, he's a very, very diamond. He's very, very passionate. He's a very, very cool guy. I went to the House of Parliament and I met Tracy Crouch, but the jury's still out on Tracy Crouch, you know, because I'm not too sure what she wants to do for mental health, because they're cutting this, they're cutting that, and what really getting to the core of what they want to do to help people with mental health, because they can tax people here and there, but they're not providing sports activities or different places that people can to go and have psychology and sit down with someone to advise you or to structure you, your life out, you know what I mean, and getting the youngsters and caring about the youngsters. So the jury's still out on, but Norman Land is one of the most nicest men you ever, and he's passionate about what he wants to do.
Well, you drove to meet him, didn't you? You
Yeah,
drove up to meet
recently
him in his office.
to help. I don't really get involved in voting and whatever. People say that I'm a conservative or whatever, but I just got into the election thing where you can vote, but I'm not that kinky. I don't get involved in voting. You know what I mean? I just leave it because I don't understand about voting. But I met Norman Lamb, and he was a man of his word, and he was very, very helpful.
So what would you do then if you went to, if you had time now with government, and you can talk about what you believe we should be doing about mental health? What should we be focusing on? What should the government really be focusing on?
I think, you know, the money what they're spending on medication, they should have some units up and down the country where people can go for some counselling. I'm trying to do the Frank Bruno Foundation with non-contact boxing, the well-being, trying to get a gym where people can come there, do the well-being. I've done some counselling courses. And sitting down with people, seeing their problem, getting to the core of what's making them feel depressed, or the way, you know, they may be, their parents are not getting on, their parents are broken up, and it affects kids or whatever. It affects elder people, but getting to the core of what's making them feel the way they're doing. You know, there's always something affecting someone in the mind. Sit down with them or make a little plan for them or set something out that people can go to and get some help, you know. A red hot line that people can talk to someone. A lot of people, when you go to alcoholic, a meeting, you sit down and exchange different how you feel, what you're going through, and give each other strength, rather than just popping someone with a tablet, putting the injection in their backside and then leaving them for 2 weeks, coming back and not knowing what they're going through.
You've been campaigning. Oh, sorry, go on. Well done.
Cheers. It's that, you know, you can't make so much millions of pounds by selling cigarettes, letting people 24-hour alcohol here and there. Some professor has come up with some sort of like tablets where he's tested on rats and animals and whatever, and give a human being and thinking that it's going to change. Get to the core of the problem, what's making someone, you know what I mean, feel depressed, or they're getting down, and talk to someone and give them a little bit of confidence. You know what I mean, care for the people rather than just zombieing them out.
You've been campaigning quite hard as well, talking to people about men's mental health as well, in the idea of men speaking up.
You can't be racist or biased. You've got women go through the same as mental health, because when women got to have kids, you know what I mean, at home is called mum. So a woman needs a break. I go down to the health farm, and a lot of women go down there to get away from the stress of getting the kids ready, cooking the kids' meals, looking after the husband. So it's not only a man's thing. A man may go out to work, but a woman's got the same thing at home where they're pressured. Most kids go to the mum. But if they got a pound for every time they call mum, they'd be a billionaire, most women. So we can't be biased here and just think it's a man's thing, it's a woman's thing, it's a kid's thing, it's a multi thing, if you know.
Do you think men struggle more talking about it though, from your experience?
I mean, if men could cry like women, some women are going through all different hormone changes or whatever, and sometimes you see them, and they're getting their tension out. And when they stop crying, they're all right. But men won't cry because men are too macho to really cry. Men are too macho to be talking about. I'm a big man. I'm brave. But now people are understanding and coming out and sympathetic. I met a guy today who was in the army, but sometimes he may need to detox himself from being in the army with the tanks and the bombs and the shooting and come back and unwind himself, you know what I mean? But we all go through our different bits and pieces, so it's not a man thing, but men are too macho, rocky type men to man up and say, I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling stressed. But if men could cry like women, they'll have a lot. They won't have so much of a hump on their back.
From it, okay. So, can you bring us up to where, in your book again? Try not to give too much away.
No problem.
I was reading in the book, and we're talking about building up to the Great North Run.
Yeah.
And it's at that point you suddenly realise just before that your life's got out of control again.
My life got out of control. I'm a workaholic, and what people done to me by nicking money and so-called friends, I just went within myself. So I drove here. I tried to cook for myself. I tried to look after my house, hoovering here, ironing, going shopping, driving up to Liverpool, 4 hours to drive up to Liverpool, do a job for 3 hours, 4 hours back, coming home late at night, going to the gym, and I tried to do everything myself, and I just burnt myself out. I was training for the North Run. My friend's kid had autism, and he weren't too right, and I'd never seen him for a long time, so he said they don't want to do the Great North Run. I only had about 6 weeks to do, so I was overtraining, and I just burnt myself out, so I needed to go somewhere. But I should have gone to my friend's health farm, which I went before, but I had a dispute with my girlfriend, and I don't even remember half of the things that was going on that night, and I ended up in another hospital that I went to, but the people were very, very nice at the time. But they gave me the medication again, and I got some stitches in my eye. But I'd done what I had to do, come out, got myself a PA, my agent see that I needed a little bit of help there, and I got my life together, and I haven't looked back since.
That's good. You actually broke your hip, did you not, doing the Great Northern Run?
I didn't break my hip. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you get an old man, I've been running for... every day I run, I go to the gym, I go to the health farm, so we get a little old man syndrome where you're walking like you're from Brixton, you know what I mean? So sometimes my hip's okay. I went to the gym and I had a good session, but I've carried the books today, and my PA was saying, you know, don't lift the box by yourself. I twisted the hip again, so I'll be walking like I'm from Brixton again when I go out. But it was just a hip, but it's just a wear and tear as you get older, you know.
So going through that.
Never get old.
Tell me about it. So the infamous interview as well, where you wanted to come back boxing.
Yeah.
Where you'd spoken of that.
Yeah.
What led up to that just before those days, before you did that interview?
Well, I done an interview. There was a guy called Eddie Hearns, who's Anthony Joshua's a trainer, and he said that Anthony Joshua could knock me out in 2 rounds, but I said that you usually say them things when someone's dead. You know what I mean? You would have knocked someone out. I'm still here. I'm still alive. And I felt fit enough, as I said, that if he thinks he can do that, why don't he challenge him? Maybe it might have been a stupid thing to say, but try not to mug someone off when they're there. Try and wait until I'm dead, and then he can say that he thinks that Anthony Joshua could knock me out, because I'm from the old school. If he thinks it, put your money where your mouth is. And I said, I'll take him up on that. But that's all dead and gone, and
You regretted it after you said it?
I don't know if I regretted it. You know what I mean? I'm a very, very proud person. If someone reckons that they could do it and there's so much money around, you know what I mean? Why not go for it, to be quite honest?
That comes out in your book, though, about you being proud, because from what I read of it,
Yeah.
it seems a lot of the time with the medication, it stopped you behaving like Frank, like you as a person, and you found that exceptionally difficult.
I don't want to tell anybody not to take medication, but the way I see it, I only can tell from my experience. My experience of medication, I don't know how you can give someone an injection. I done a program with my daughter, and I was on the program. I couldn't make myself a cup of tea in front of her. I couldn't get up. I sat down, and I was there, but I weren't there. So I don't know what that sort of form of medication, and I've read up on it and talked to some people, some doctors, and it can rot on your kidneys, is bad for you on a long-term
Side
thing.
effects, yeah.
Side effects and all them different things. And I watch programs, and they're saying some of the medication people shouldn't really take because it's very, very dangerous, highly addictive, and it's, you know, the so-called teams are making a lot of money out of this, giving people this medication and not knowing what they're giving them. Most of the people, the aftercare people, what came around my house, I said, have you ever taken what I'm taking? Do you know how I feel? And you got no respect for me having a judgment of what I do. So that every week they will change it and change it, and there's experimenting me. They sort of like half said I'll be on the medication for the rest of my life. I said I won't. And then after a while, they said that we're releasing you. You don't have to take no medication at all. So they messed up my mind with all their science and their crap, what they told me. And at the end of the day, I just got off it, and I got myself together, got a little bit of help here and there. You know what I mean? Determined and focused and concentrated. But it's not a gimmick. But when I'm telling them how I'm feeling and what they're giving me, it don't feel right. You're supposed to listen to your patient. If you're a doctor, listen to your patient. If you say, I don't feel right, I'm having dreams and nightmares and lethargic and tongue swelling up, and I feel like I'm crippled, can't feel my legs when you give me all this medication. But I had a bad, that's why I'm so surprised of the nice people that I met here, that I might have to move down to Bournemouth and get some of the treatment what they're getting.
Yeah. The last time you actually went in to hospital, it was different because you decided to take yourself to hospital, didn't you?
People were very, very nice, very, very warm, nice vibe, very, very friendly, but I still didn't agree with the medication. Because I'm not kinky, but if someone gives me a tablet and I took the tablet and then I knocked my head I fainted on the table and cut myself, give me a stitch, ain't that showing you that something's wrong? But if they're going to have places for people wanting to go, you got to have a gym, exercise, people talking to you, not putting their arms around you, just trying to give you a little bit of confidence, boost you and get you well again, rather than just keep smartying you, giving you tablets and them changing them, not knowing how bad the tablets are for you. Very, very highly addictive medication, what they give you, because the doctor warned me that when you come off of these, you've got to come off them slowly. You can't come off them, you know,
Too quick.
You're too quick, because if you come off them too quick, you know what I mean, all different things will go on in your head. Any sort of form of drug has side effects, and they gave me the worst ones, the most powerfulest dosage that anyone could have. But I'm only talking from my experience, and I think I'm strong enough and well enough and focused enough to know my own body and my own mind. So I'm only speaking from my experience.
Sure. So no medication now,
no,
just the way you control your life?
A year and a bit, you know what I mean? No medication at all.
Do you recognise signs when things start to go now? When things start to get worse?
I recognise signs. Sometimes the sun can't always shine. Sometimes I'm more happy in the summer than I am in the winter. I was talking to some students there. I said, how do you feel in the summer? Some say they feel all right, some say they don't. Some say in the summer they're here doing their exams and the kids are out there playing football so they get the ump. You know what I mean? And people have more spring in their step
Yeah.
in the summer than they do in the winter. You feel more miserable. But at the end of the day, I just feel great within myself because I've got a good team around me and the pressure's taken off me. So I'm happy as a pig in whatever they call it.
You mentioned the Frank Bruno Foundation.
Yeah, Frank Bruno Foundation.
Could you explain to everybody what that is you're doing?
It's a non-contact boxing with trying to get a unit together with non-contact boxing now. But the skills of people hitting the pads and hitting the bags and skipping and getting themselves fit and just have well-being classes that they can come to and people that they can talk to on board to sort of like give them skills and little tips that they can go out there and feel confident and using their life skills, you know. But it's early days yet, but I've got a good team. Everything's coming together. We had a charity night at Champneys and we raised nearly £40,000 plus VAT, and it was a good night.
Put it through.
You know.
When we were talking earlier, I was asking you just some general questions about life.
Right.
And one of the things I spoke about was your mum.
Yeah, mum,
and how important your mum was to you in your life.
Yeah.
Do you believe that your mum was one of the biggest? Because I couldn't believe she only went to 2 of your fights.
Yeah, she was in the toilet both times.
She did. She'd never seen you.
She weren't dropping no pennies or whatever. She was in there with her Bible praying. She's not really into that sort of like things. But I took her to the Tim Witherspoon fight and the Tyson fight. But she was an evangelista. Yeah. So she was a church person. So when I was 8, she used to force me to church. I didn't want to go to church, but when I went there was some characters preaching there, and it was good old days. But my dad was opposite to my mum, but I had a strict parents. You know, if I was rude, if I was bad, if I didn't do what they said, I got some claps around the ear. I got the slipper, and I got the belt. But I've no complaints at all because it's the best thing that could have happened.
They gave you those values, didn't they?
The values and discipline and the focus. You know.
I have to admit, one thing that was strange for me as soon as you arrived here, apart from the rain, which we could have done without, because you're talking about sunshine. Your afro, that you said straight away to me. Yeah. I'm thinking, right, as soon as Frank comes in, I want to make sure he's okay. I want to, not because, bipolar, but just make sure you're okay. You stop and you talk to everybody. Yeah. You if anybody asks you for a photo, it's actually genuinely not a problem. It's great that you're famous and it's great that you have that. Is there any time at all that you suddenly think to yourself, I don't want to do that, or I don't?
Sometimes, you know what I mean, I'm at home and sometimes I feel like I'm a prisoner in my own home. Sometimes I want to go out and just go shopping, chill out, go to the pictures, go to a restaurant, but I'm in prison. When I say to people that I'm in prison, they laugh at me and think they don't understand, but sometimes your life is taken away from you. But I set out to be boxing. I set out to be famous, so I'm not really grumble. You can't have the best of both worlds. But sometimes you do want a day where you just want to just go in the woods for a walk and just chill out and feel the air. But everywhere you go, people got them long lenses now. I bought a car the other day and I went down the market. I didn't know how the car went. I left the handbrake off.
I read this, yeah.
The car went rolling and everybody goes, he's gone cuckoo again. I went down the gym.
You took out a market stall, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, lucky. I went down the gym and I went in the gym and I couldn't find my locker, where I put the locker. Yeah. So I had to shower, I had the towel around me, but everyone said that he's gone mad again. He's walking around the gym trying to find his locker. So I monitor whatever I say. It's weird, you know what I mean, how people clock you, judge you, and see how you get on. But I'm just a happy-go-lucky. I would chat to the dog, I would chat to the cat, I would shake people's hand, but some people take it the wrong sort of way and mug you off and say he's not right in his head. But I'm in my garden and I listen to my music. I'm minding my own business, but I used to play my music loud, but I got warned that if I don't stop playing my music loud, that they're going to section me again. So if I sing in the garden, people say that I'm going cuckoo. If I walk with the hip funny, they say that.
Gone gangster.
You know, I don't know. You know, I mean, it's very, very strange. Sometimes when you go out, you just monitored. I had some neighbours. I got some funny neighbours, but I had the mail come to my house and said that some people were trying to tap into my water and my electrics, but it didn't come out my mouth. They make up all different stories, but you take it, you just get on with what you got to do. And if I were to watch and listen to what everybody says, I'll definitely go mad. But you just take it with a pinch of salt, you know what I mean? I've got a good life and I've got some nice rewards from what I am. But if you decide you want to be famous or whatever, you've got to take the consequences, and the consequences that I monitor whatever I do. But I'm not doing nothing that nobody else is not doing, so I'm okay. When I die, I ain't got nobody coming out that they can say I've done anything wrong here and now. You know what I mean? I can't chuck no stones at the greenhouse, but I'm okay.
What would be your advice to anybody here then, that when we're talking about mental health, what should they do? Should they speak more openly about it? Should they seek advice? You saw everybody upstairs.
Seek advice. Talk to somebody. They've got all different stalls with all different people. You've got a young man here was involved with the police and is helping people. There's a lot of community help and love there, you know what I mean, and understanding. Everybody goes through some form of mental health or whatever. If you could talk to someone, unload, bounce off one another. There was some kids what done a film, was going around the schools and that. It's all good to talk about it, you know what I mean? The more you can talk and exchange certain different things, everybody has some form of, may go to the doctor, may have cancer, may have, the baby might come out a little bit different and work and lost their job and, you know what I mean, in a relationship and, you know what I mean, parents break up and, you know what I mean, just can't get no energy, feel very lethargic and that one's got something better than me and I want that and all different things that from A to Z to Z to A. But as long as we only here on borrowed time, and when I mean on borrowed time, try and enjoy yourself, relax and chill out and show some love and, you know what I mean, we're on very short time and the more you can talk, try and help someone, and if they're going through them, trying to give them a little bit of advice and to go. There's all different units that people can go to, a different form of help, because people are seeing that a lot of people are suffering out there, you know what I mean? But you don't have to suffer in silence.
Brilliant. Good. A genuine question I was asked, your new book.
Yeah.
What's different to that to your other books? No, I think it was said in a nice way, not Frank's written another one.
It's up to date, and you know, I've had a lot of drama and different things that have gone on in my life, and I've gone to markets and someone's detached my retina nut in me. My mum's funeral, you know what I mean, there's someone hit the car that my mum was in, and I had to go out and, you know what I mean, challenge the guy, but I had to swallow. I didn't threaten him, but I said, listen, man, come on, please. And he still wouldn't give in. He wanted to nudge past. All different things has happened. And I think it's up to date to what I've been through my life, especially about mental health and different bits and pieces, you know what I mean? So some people can take advice and take heed of what I've been through, but sometimes being a so-called celebrity, if you want to call it, it has his ups and downs and it has its minuses and its pluses. So I think it's an interesting read, you know.
I was lucky enough to get it from your agent early.
Did you pay for it?
Circle.
No.
Blagged it completely. And I've got to say, it's a genuinely great read. And I was plugging it, but I'll take commission. But
no problem.
I'll plug it for you.
No
so
problem.
We'll say that.
You're so kind.
So look, I want to thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's been terrific doing that.
Cheers. If I've upset anybody, I didn't mean to do, or if I said anything offensive.
You haven't. Final question from me for you. In 3 words, describe Frank Bruno to us.
Describe Frank Bruno.
You got 3 words.
3 words.
I knew that'd be difficult for you.
Just a ducker and diver, just a human being. I wish I could go to university, but I haven't got the brains to go to university. But I've got a university degree in life and experience, and I've been around the world, and I'm very, very happy and very, very blessed to be here. Because sometimes all what I've been through, especially with the mental health, I'm surprised I'm not gone cuckoo, cuckoo. So that's a human being just trying to make a crust for his family and himself, and just trying to be happy, not bothering nobody. I'm like Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder. I don't see colour or religion or people. I see the person as they are. You know what I mean? And the sooner people see that, it'd be a better world, and you know what I mean, our grandchildren, our kids could live in a peaceful world. You know what I mean? But that's a human being. Just nothing special.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Cheers, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.